I'm not gonna lie, I'm already regretting my choices. I ignored every red flag, every bad review, and still hit buy now on this $200 eBay PC. Everyone said it was junk, but I thought, how bad could it really be? Well, today we're gonna find out. Let's unbox this thing and see just how terrible my decision really was. At first glance, everything looks surprisingly well packed, probably because the case has 2 glass panels. Honestly, the exterior looks almost brand new. But hey, looks don't decide performance. Let's take off the glass and see what's hiding inside. Oh wow, like the seller actually removed the GPU before shipping. Smart move, since PCIe slots can easily snap in transit. And here it is, a GT 1030 2GB DDR4. Yep, the same one I roasted in my worst budget GPU video. It's basically an office-grade card, and yeah, I'm kinda disappointed it's the DDR4 version. If it were GDDR5, we'd be talking 10 to 20 more FPS in most games. Digging deeper, we've got a single 8GB stick of RAM, which feels a bit underwhelming these days, but honestly it makes sense. RAM prices have tripled over the past few months, mostly because DDR4 production is slowing down and manufacturers are shifting toward AI data centers, causing a global shortage. Now, I'm not entirely sure if that's the full story, so if you know more, drop a comment and let me know. And moving on from the RAM, the SSD didn't escape the price surge either. This build only came with a 128GB drive, which barely leaves room after installing Windows. One update and it's already screaming in red. Then it hit me. None of these parts are actually brand new. The RAM, the SSD, even the GPU, all used recycled components given a second life before ending up in my hands. Alright, time to see what other parts we've got inside this thing. Let's plug the GPU in, hit the power button. Oh no, here we go. The PC just keeps shutting off over and over again. At first I thought maybe the RAM was loose or dirty, so I pulled it out and scrubbed the contacts with an eraser. Classic old school trick. Plugged it back in. Nothing. Still the same issue. Okay, maybe it's the slot. Swapped it to another one. Guess what? Still dead. At this point, I'm starting to panic a little. Did I just get scammed? Time for plan B. Test every single part. I grabbed another stick of RAM I know works fine. Same result. Then tested the faulty stick on a different system, and it booted right up. So yeah, the RAM's fine. Which means the problem's either the CPU or the motherboard. I pulled off the cooler CPU and oh my god, it's filthy. Like, legit looks like it was dug out of a junkyard. Layers of dirt and dried dust everywhere. I set it aside and decided to test the CPU next, just to see if it was even generating heat. Surprisingly it was, so the CPU's alive, but the random shutdowns kept happening. At this point, I honestly started wondering if this PC was cursed. It was eating up all my time. Alright, time to dig deeper. I pulled the CPU out and tested it on another motherboard, and it actually booted up perfectly. So the processor's fine, which means, yeah, the motherboard's the culprit. To double check, I tried a different CPU on the same board. Same result, instant shutdown. I removed it for a closer look and noticed something odd. There's an M.2 slot here, which is rare for older boards. But after some research, turns out this isn't made by Gigabyte or Asus. It's a Chinese H110 knockoff, rebuilt from old chipsets. And then I saw it. Several bent pins inside the socket. That's it. That's the root of all the chaos. Now, my main problem is fixing those bent pins. Like, they need to line up perfectly or this whole thing's toast. After about 15 minutes of delicate surgery, everything finally looks straight again. Time to plug it in, and yes, it booted up. My $200 patient has officially survived the operation. It even loads into Windows surprisingly fast. Let's open CPU-Z and check what chip we're working with. Oh, it's just a Pentium G4400. No wonder it's so weak. Only 2 cores, 2 threads, locked at 3.3 GHz, no turbo, no overclocking, and just 3 megabytes of cache. Yeah, this thing's slower than an old 4th gen AST5. Honestly, the only real advantage this setup has is power efficiency. The CPU pulls just around 54 watts, and even the GPU is a low power model. But here's the weird part. This PC came with a 650 watt power supply. Like, why? That's way overkill for this kind of build. I don't know what the seller was thinking. Maybe a mistake, or maybe they just tossed in whatever they had lying around. Anyway, let's break this thing down and figure out how much each part would actually cost if I built it myself. We'll use eBay prices as our baseline. Starting with the CPU, you'll see tons of listings under $10, some as low as $4, which honestly makes sense given how little performance this thing has. Next up, the motherboard. I found a used Gigabyte H110 board for about $17. And if you want something brand new with NVMe support, there's one on AliExpress for around $37. Now, let's move on to the RAM. And honestly, this part kinda hurts. A single 8GB DDR4 stick goes for around $30, which feels like a ripoff for what it is. Prices have really gone up lately. Next, the GPU. I found a listing for about $60, exactly the same model as the one I have here. Then there's the power supply. An open box 650-watt unit for only $20, which actually seems fair. For storage, a 120GB SATA SSD is going for about $6. Dirt cheap, but tiny. The case was harder to find, but a similar one on AliExpress costs roughly $30. And finally, the CPU cooler, just $8. So if you add everything up, that's roughly $195 total. I guess the motherboard I got was a bit overpriced because if you grab a used one for $17 instead of a new NVMe board, you could shave a few bucks off easily. Starting off with CS2, I ran it in full HD at low settings, and yeah, this poor CPU is absolutely maxed out, sitting at 100% usage the entire time, clocking around 3.3 GHz non-stop. The only thing it's winning at right now is power efficiency. Just 18 watts, which is honestly impressive for how weak it is. As for FPS, we're only getting around 30 to 40 frames per second. Pretty rough for a fast-paced shooter like CS2. I tried dropping the resolution down to 720p, and yeah, it improved a little, but not nearly enough to make it smooth or enjoyable. Next up, we've got Minecraft, running the default version with no graphic mods. At first, I'm getting around 180 FPS, but the average frame rate hovers closer to 70 FPS, so naturally I had to push it. Now, I dropped 1000 TNT blocks to see if this PC could survive. And yeah, it tanked straight down to 4 FPS. Once the chaos settled, it climbed back up to around 50, so hey, props to the little guy. But when I bumped the render distance to 8 chunks, the FPS didn't drop much, though you can clearly see stutters from the CPU struggling to keep up. At 32 chunks with fabulous graphics on, FPS fell to about 30, especially when looking down from high up. Overall, it's playable on basic settings, but once you crank things up, you're definitely sacrificing stability. Moving on to Doom, a first-person shooter that's way more demanding. At Full HD low settings, both the CPU and GPU are working overtime, over 90% usage each. FPS stays around 25, which isn't great, but surprisingly it's consistent enough to still be playable. You could enjoy it, as long as you're willing to live with the lag. Alright, next up, Fortnite. I'm running it on DX11 at HD resolution, and honestly, it's a mess. The game's lagging like crazy, FPS hovers around 50 but keeps dropping hard. Sometimes the screen freezes for a few seconds straight, totally unplayable. And yeah, the main culprit here? The CPU. I tried lowering the rendering mode and dropped 3D resolution down to 60%, hoping for some improvement. FPS did go up a bit, but the stutters didn't stop. The screen kept freezing every few seconds, making it impossible to move. It's clear this poor CPU just can't keep up with Fortnite. And after a few minutes, oh man, the screen completely glitched out. That's it. This PC officially failed today's stress test. Honestly, this has been one of the worst buying experiences I've ever had. And I don't want you guys to go through the same thing. My advice? Be careful when buying cheap PC parts like this online. Always check seller reviews and user feedback before hitting that buy button. If this video helped you even a little bit, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and maybe share it with a friend so they don't get scammed like I did.